Hi everyone, Dr. Elliott here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so just here having my morning coffee and contemplating a few things that I wanted to share with you all before we jump into our meditation today, which are things that actually spurred the need for this meditation, I think, I believe. Um, but one of the things that has come up in conversation with colleagues over the years, especially colleagues who live a ceremonial life and are also therapists. One of the conversations that has come up recently is about folks who are seeking ceremony for healing, specifically healing trauma, and how sometimes when we're seeking to heal trauma, but we're kind of staying in these upper chakras, like the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh chakras, and we're not really grounded in our body. So we're kind of ignoring the first, second, and third because that's where the pain is, right? That's where the suffering is. And so we're in our attempt to like be spiritually minded. Sometimes we can ignore the somatic, right? And so I think this is one of the reasons that somatic therapy has really taken off recently, and it's really profoundly healing for people who have trauma. But what tends to happen, not always, but what can happen sometimes in ceremonial work is somebody comes in to heal a particular trauma and they're just not ready. They're just not ready to heal it, but they think they are, and they come into whether it's sweat lodge or Native American church or water ceremony or Sundance or whatever the different ceremonies might be. And they get into a place of connecting with spirit in a really profound way. It feels so good. It just feels so good that sometimes the people don't want to come back down. They don't want to come back down to earth. And a really important part of ceremonial life is reintegration. Like when I go out and do stomp dance, I drive 26 hours to Oklahoma, and I drive on purpose because getting on an airplane after doing ceremony is just not an option. I need those 3 days to integrate, to contemplate the experiences that I've had, to bring them back down into this reality, into my body, stay in my body, reintegrate with my body and my life, so that I can make all of that work really useful. And so there is this sort of, I don't know if danger is quite the right word, but there's this it can become problematic if someone is spending a lot of time in ceremony and they're not grounding and they're not bringing that energy back into their everyday relationships. And native traditions account for that. So if someone is being following tradition really truly and has an actual medicine person guiding them, they're going to learn all of this, right? But there's a lot of folks out there who are trying to do some of these ceremonies on their own, or doing them with people who aren't necessarily properly trained, and they get stuck up here. And so we want to bring that energy back down into the earth. We want to bring it back down into our bodies. We want to integrate it into every relationship in our life, and ultimately in our way of life and in our behavior. It needs to be integrated everywhere. But this meditation is designed to help you ground and really get present in your body, especially when maybe you're having a hard time bringing that spiritual energy down. Because the other thing I want to share real quick is, when we're working with spiritual energy, we're working with, in my opinion, we're working with divine love. And Robert Tennyson Stevens, who was one of my dear mentors in my early 20s, he used to say, when you introduce love into something, it pushes up everything unlike itself. And when it pushes up everything unlike itself, that can look pretty scary. There's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of shadow material that can come up. And when it comes up, especially when we're doing ceremony, it can come up in a really big kind of eruptive sort of way. We need to be prepared for that. We need to have support. We need to have helpers, like whether it's friends or family or a therapist or a ceremonial leader or a medicine person or a parent or whoever. But we need to have support from somebody who knows what that looks like, who understands that process and can help you walk through it with a minimal amount of fear, because ultimately we want to eliminate fear completely. That's what love does. It eliminates fear. And when we start really focusing on eliminating the fear by embodying divine love, that's when miracles can happen. So I'm gonna finish my coffee, and then we're gonna come back and get started on this meditation. All right. I'm gonna get started with just a little bit of smudge here. Just setting an intention for our meditation today of bringing forth divine love, bringing forth clarity, integration, and balance for my friends and family who are watching this video, to help integrate all of the hard work that you do everywhere, whether it's ceremonial life, whether it's doing your daily meditations or affirmations. But all of that spiritual work is only, in my opinion, it's only worth it if we have an ability to integrate it into our everyday life. And we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? Not the other way around. Maybe some people think we're human beings having spiritual experiences, but I really believe we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and this human experience is sacred. It's so sacred, and my hope for all of us is that we can really fully embrace it and enjoy being human. So our spiritual life is our toolbox. It's how we navigate in this world. But ultimately, we're in this world. And so let's make the best of it. Okay. I'm going to start with a nice deep breath. Slow, controlled exhale. Nice deep breath. And slow, controlled exhale. Belly button to spine. And again, nice deep breath. Slowing down the exhale even more. And then grounding your energy deep into the earth. Really taking your time, remembering the 4 layers of the earth that we have to ground into. And we have the dirt layer, which is that part of the earth that is malleable, movable, changeable. It can get shoveled up, moved around, grow food in, build houses on, all the things, right? It's very, very changeable and movable. But it's also very nurturing, and it's also part of our survival in this world. And then we have the stone layer below the dirt layer. In Cherokee culture, we refer to them as the stone people. There's bedrock, there's pebbles, there's big stones, there's little stones, there's crystals, there's all the things. So the stone layer is the layer that we ground into when we need structure, stability, strength, longevity. It's also the layer that we ground into when we need to access the living library, when we need to access the information that's available to us within the earth. My elders have shared with me that pretty much any ceremony, any healing modality, anything that we ever need to know about life exists in this plane. So we can go sit on a big granite boulder next to the river, and we can remember. We can remember where we came from, who we are, what we're here to do, how to do it, all the things, right? But again, the key is to ground it into this reality, into this world, into our relationships. Why we say all my relations, because this is why we're doing all of this work, is for all my relations, right? So the stone layer, and then below the stone layer we have the aquifers, and the aquifers, the water. Water brings life. It cleanses and purifies our emotional energy. It cleanses and purifies our bodies. It sustains us. It brings life. And if we consider the cycle of water and thinking about those aquifers and how that water got there, maybe it was rain or snowpack that packed into the mountains that eventually melted down and drained into the aquifers and went through all of its purification process as it went through the dirt layer and the stone layer and the organic matter and all the things, and ended up into the aquifers, this beautiful, pure water. Here in Mount Shasta, I've actually heard, well, first of all, it has some of the most pure water probably in the world, but certainly in California. But I've heard that it can take up to 50 years for that snowpack, that snow melt, to get down into the mountain and through all of the purification channels and pop up out of the main spring in town. So the water undergoes a lot of transformation as it goes through all these layers of the earth, and so can we. So we call on the water, we ground into the water when we need purification and cleansing and life force. And then the fire layer, we might not think of like what's inside the earth of fire, but there is a molten lava layer, as we know, because it comes up through the volcanoes every once in a while. So we know that it's there. And I want you to think about what fire does. It breaks things down into their most basic elements, right? It breaks things down into the very most basic structure that they can possibly be. And from there, fire, like when there's a forest fire, all kinds of new life comes the next year after the destruction, right? And during the destruction, it feels very uncomfortable and scary, and we're worried about, people's houses and animals and things like that. And then after a fire, though, all this life comes back into the forest, and there's a rebirth, right? Just like the phoenix rising. And so the fire element can be obviously a very destructive element. And when we're grounding into it, we are asking for, an incredible release, an incredible transformation. So be ready when you use that fire layer, because it can be very powerful. But we're also acknowledging that we're also asking for a rebirth. We're asking for something new and completely different. And Mother Earth, she knows what to do. When we break that energy down and we ground it into the earth, she knows how to transform it and turn it into something useful for us. Just very much the same way that we use fire to break down our food before we eat it, right? We heat up our food, which kind of breaks down some of the structure of our food, and it makes it more digestible, right? And obviously, if you overcook it, you ruin some of the nutrients. And if you undercook it, maybe it's not broken down enough to make it easy for your body to digest. So there's kind of a sweet spot there. And so everything that we do when it comes to ceremony and native culture is, at least in the Cherokee way, is it's about balance. It's about bringing balance into your life. And I would say that, when we're seeking out ceremonial people, when we're seeking out medicine people, or teachers that we want to learn from, we want to make sure that they don't have to be perfect, but we want to make sure that they're living a balanced life, that their relationships are balanced and healthy, and that the teachings that they're offering us are teachings that will help us be balanced and healthy, right? So we have a lot to learn from these layers of the earth. And so we're going to come back to our breath. Take a nice deep breath. Slow, controlled exhale. Belly button to spine. Squeezing the rest of that air out. Grounding your energy deep into the earth. And I want you to choose one of those 4 layers to ground into today. And we're going to settle back into our body. Just as a reminder, this breathe, ground, settle practice came from Dr. Ruby Gibson. I took almost a year of somatic archeology training with her, and her book is called My Body, My Earth. I can put that in the description below for you. But breathe, ground, settle. Breathe, ground, settle. It's the mantra, but it's also the action for us to take when we're feeling that trauma, or when we're feeling that our emotions are dysregulated, or we're not feeling spiritually balanced. This is the practice that we come back to every day, to ground, to stay centered, and to be able to make use of the spiritual energy that comes from the higher realms. Okay, so we're going to take a nice deep breath. Slow, controlled exhale. Belly button to spine. Grounding your energy deep into the earth. Choosing one of those 4 layers. Just imagining that you have roots almost growing out of your body, or you can imagine just energy going down into that layer. I like to imagine roots because I can see them kind of really anchoring me to the earth. And roots serve a couple of different purposes. One is anchoring this, like the strength and the structure of the plant into the earth. So let's say it's a tree, and maybe the tree's roots go out 50 feet and go down 20 feet. It's very anchored and strong, and it's not going to fall over when the wind blows, right? But at the same time, those roots also can draw up nutrients from the soil, draw up water from the aquifers, right? And so the ability to ground excess energy into the earth, and also to draw up from the earth what we need, is very important here. And so we're going to settle back into our body. So I just like to wiggle my sits bones a little bit, wiggle my shoulders a little bit, maybe my neck, and just really give yourself permission to be in your body. And if at any time being in your body doesn't feel safe, try to find a memory that you have where it did feel safe. Or maybe there's a specific part of your body, maybe it's your big toe, maybe it's your big toenail that feels safe to be in. Maybe it doesn't feel safe to be in your heart or your belly, but maybe it does feel safe to be in your left toe, So you find a place in your body where it does feel safe, and you anchor that safety into everywhere else in your body. And if you find that you're focusing in a place in your body that doesn't feel safe, you just go back to that big toe, okay? And we do breathe, ground, settle. Breathe, ground, settle, okay? So nice deep breath. Slow, controlled exhale. Belly button to spine. Grounding your energy deep into the earth. settling back into your body. And again, nice deep breath. Slow, controlled exhale. Belly button to spine. Grounding your energy deep into the earth. And settling back into your body. Now we're going to create that tube of white light, 3 to 5 feet all around you. We're going to send that tube of white light all the way down to the center of the earth, all the way up into the star nations, and just remembering that only divine love exists within this tube of white light. Nothing can come into this tube of white light unless you invite it. And even if you invite it, anything that you invite that comes into this tube of white light is instantaneously transformed into the highest divine love it can possibly be for you in alignment with you. Okay. And now we're going to invite our higher self, ancestors, spirit helpers, plant relatives, animal relatives. And just remembering that we are specifically asking for help with grounding, staying grounded in our bodies, staying grounded in this world, in this life, being able to integrate the knowledge and wisdom of our elders and our ancestors into our everyday life. So as we call forth our I am presence, we call forth, maybe it's Jesus or Mary or Archangel Michael or Saint Germain, maybe it's Uniklanahi, Galaladitla, whatever language you use, whatever spiritual practice you have, can all be integrated into this practice. No judgment here at all. Who you call on when you pray, when you meditate. But asking for spiritual integration, calling on your ancestors, your animal relatives, your plant relatives. Thinking about root vegetables, thinking about roots, like herbal roots that we use to help us ground. Thinking about animals that walk on the earth that help us ground. So we love our birds, we love our winged ones, we love our fishies and the swimmies. But when we're trying to ground, we really need something that's going to help us stay on this earth, right? So maybe it's the creepy crawlies. Maybe it's bear medicine. Maybe it's wolf medicine. Maybe it's something really simple like badger medicine, or skunk medicine. Whatever it might be, there's no shame. The smallest, humblest little creature can be the one that really, really helps you understand yourself and understand your own medicine. So I'm going to be quiet for a minute so you can just have a moment to meet your spirit helpers. Just remembering to breathe and anchor yourself into the earth. Sometimes it can really help to have a straight spine and have your shoulders rolled back if possible, and have those lower abdominal muscles tight, belly button to spine. And just really pushing that energy down into the earth and anchoring it down into the earth. Feeling your own power, feeling your own strength, feeling how being grounded and into your core and deep down into the earth makes you feel so powerful and strong and balanced. Let's take a nice deep breath. Just really anchoring that feeling of balance, anchoring that feeling of strength, feeling empowered, and feeling humble at the same time. I'd like you to just relax your breath, just back to a normal style of breathing for you. So we're going to just go on a little journey. Finding ourselves at a starting point that somewhere in nature, somewhere where you would feel comfortable and happy and grounded and secure. And noticing the nature all around you, noticing which spirit helpers are with you. And you just start to walk slowly down a beautiful path. Beautiful path with beautiful vegetation and comfortable air temperature. And you're wearing comfortable shoes, or maybe you're even barefooted, walking on the earth. Just noticing the beautiful sights all around you. And really feeling the energy of the plants and animals all around you. Feeling the wisdom of your spirit helper who's here with you now. Feeling safe. Feeling guided. Feeling grounded. Feeling balanced. Feeling clarity. As you walk down this path, you know exactly where you're going. You know exactly where that path leads. You've walked this path a million times. Through all kinds of life challenges, through all kinds of joys of life. This path is just part of you. And pretty soon you come to a clearing up ahead. And you notice that the path that leads into this clearing opens up into 3 paths. And there isn't a right or a wrong path, but there are 3, and you do have to choose. And you have your spirit animals, you have your spirit helpers, you have your plant relatives that help guide you on this journey. In each of these 3 paths, there isn't a right or a wrong path. You'll probably eventually going on all 3 of these paths at some point. But for now, you're going to pick one. Whichever one you feel guided to. You're going to give yourself permission on this path to explore something new about yourself. Something adventurous and safe at the same time. And so you go ahead and you choose your path. And you start to walk down that path. And you notice it's a little bit uphill at first. It requires a little bit of effort because it's new. But you're not the first person on this path. You can tell. The trail is well groomed. It's a little bit narrow, but it's well groomed. And you can tell that the spirit helpers and the plant relatives and the animal relatives, they have been maintaining this trail for you. They have gone forth and made the path easier than it might have been had you tried to blaze that trail on your own. And you notice you come to a few places on the trail where maybe there's kind of a drop off on the mountain. It gets a little bit nerve-wracking, but you're trusting. And you walk across the trail in that spot and you make it across just fine. Maybe you come to another part of the trail and there's maybe some animal noises that you're not familiar with. And so it brings up a little bit of fear, but you get reassurance from your spirit helpers that there's nothing here to be afraid of. And so your brain kind of files that noise away in a filing cabinet that says, okay, that's okay, that's safe. And every time you come upon something new on this trail, you notice there's a really slight anxiety response because it's new. It's different. It's something you haven't experienced before. And naturally, our brain wants to create an anxiety response because it doesn't have a file in the filing cabinet for that sound or that sight or that experience. But eventually a file gets created, it gets filed away, and your nervous system comes back to baseline. And we breathe. Nice deep breath. Slow, controlled exhale. We ground our energy deep into the earth and we keep walking down the trail. And you start to notice a pattern. A pattern of every time you come across something new, there's this little anxiety response. And then there's reassurance, and then it gets tucked away into the filing cabinet as a known sound, a known sight, a known experience, and our anxiety returns to baseline. And we remember a time in our life when maybe that wasn't the case. Maybe it was more difficult to return that anxiety back to baseline. And we embody gratitude. Gratitude that our body and our spirit are now working together, helping us to remember how our bodies were hardwired to be resilient. Our bodies were hardwired to recover easily during times of stress. Nice deep breath. Slow, controlled exhale. And pretty soon we come to another clearing. And we notice in the center of this ginormous clearing that there is a pool of water surrounded by beautiful granite boulders. And there's some really nice little platforms where we can sit on one of those boulders or lay down even on one of these boulders. And we can look into this beautiful pool of the most pure water you've ever noticed, you've ever seen, you've ever tasted or experienced. But there's this childlike innocence about you. And you just want to lay down on your tummy on the edge of this pool and look into the water. And you see this energy in the water just sparkling, just with the purity of how beautiful and clear this water is. And you're playing around with the water with your finger and making designs in the water and making ripples in the water and just experiencing how the water reacts to your hand movements. And then the water becomes still again, and you notice the reflection of the trees in the water and the reflection of the boulders in the water. And the water's so clear and so beautiful, and you can see every little crevice in the boulders that are holding it in place. And you're just filled with wonderment and gratitude and playfulness. And then you notice your own reflection in the water. And you also see the reflection of your spirit helpers. To the right of you, maybe there's an animal relative. To the left of you, maybe there's a plant relative that's here to help you on this part of your journey. Maybe there's an ancestor or an angelic presence. And you notice that you're just filled with profound, deep love and deep gratitude for these stone people that you're laying on, and for that water element that's reflecting back to you your own beauty and the beauty of the help and the support team that you have. And for the dirt that's underneath your feet as you're walking down the trail. And you notice just beyond this clearing, there's a little bit of opening in the side of the mountain. And you see a little bit of smoke coming out the top. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's a fire. A sacred fire. A small sacred fire. And it feels very inviting for you to come into this cave. This cave has a really wide opening, and you can see the pool of water from the cave. You don't have to go very deep in to find the fire. And all of the people sitting around the fire, all the different aspects of you, all the different facets of the beautiful diamond that you are. Remembering that, diamonds get created by intense long-term pressure on coal, right? Millions of years. We don't need millions of years to become the diamonds that we are. But we do recognize that sometimes those pressures in life, help us to harness the beauty inside of us that we didn't even know was there. And these vessels that embody our spirits, our physical bodies, are such a precious, sacred gift. They are such a precious, sacred gift. And the most beautiful way that we can honor our Creator, God Source Creator, is by fully embodying and enjoying our life, fully embodying our spirit, fully embodying divine love, and fully giving ourselves permission to enjoy, to bring joy into every cell of our body, into every relationship that we have, into every action that we take, into our careers, into our families, into our communities. We were born into this life to experience joy. So we're going to take a nice deep breath. Slow, controlled exhale. Belly button to spine. Grounding that energy deep into the earth. Just honoring that fire, that sacred fire. Honoring all the different aspects of ourselves. Even the shadow side. The good, the bad, and the ugly. This is about learning to love all of who we are. And the fire serves the purpose of helping us to transform the parts of us that are not serving our highest good, but they still serve a purpose. And sometimes they need to be transformed into their basic elements and repurposed. And that's okay too. So again, we're going to take a nice deep breath. Slow, controlled exhale. Grounding your energy deep into the earth. And this time I want you to focus on just letting go of anything that is no longer serving you. Whether it's fear, doubt, judgment. You send that all the way down to the fire layer if you need to. If it's anxiety, if it's excess energy, if it's overwhelm, all the things, right? Mother Earth is not burdened by that. She knows what to do with it. She knows how to transform that into something useful. And so I'd like you to just give yourself permission to let go and trust that you are held. You are held by this Mother Earth. You're held by her sacred fire. You're held by her waters and her womb. You're held by her heartbeat. You're held by the nurturing and sustenance that comes from the food that we grow. You're held by her beauty. You're held by her non-judgment. You're held by her raw organic power. Your spiritual life and your earth life were never meant to exist independently of one another. The earth is the container for our spirit. Our body is the container for our spirit, and our body comes from the earth. We need to learn how to use all of these medicines and all of these tools that we were given so that we can be happy and healthy and joyful. That's what they're here for. Not here to judge, not here to create scarcity, not here to fight over. They're here to bring joy and peace and serenity and abundance and playfulness. Let's take a nice deep breath, grounding your energy deep into the earth. Belly button to spine. Settling back into your body. Before we leave the cave, I'd like you to imagine your heart center. I like to place both hands over my heart center. And we're going to take a nice deep breath. And as we exhale, we're just going to open that heart center, holding up your hands and just sending love to all of these different aspects of you who are sitting around this fire, just beaming unconditional love all around, sending gratitude to the fire for the element of transformation that it brings into our lives, for the warmth, for the sacredness, for the comfort, for the remembrance, for the portal that it offers us to our ancestors and to our understanding. And we're going to set this intention of non-judgment to all of the parts of who we are. We're going to thank the fire, thank the parts, thank the cave, thank the Mother Earth. We're going to take a walk back towards that pool with the beautiful granite boulders all around, to the spirit helpers who are there waiting for us. We're going to say thank you to the water and thank you to the granite boulders, the stone people. Thank you for the reflection of beauty and love that we are. Thank you to our ancestors. Thank you to our spirit helpers for guiding us along this path, along this journey, for helping us to overcome fear and doubt and shame and guilt and all the things, and to fully embody divine love, Christ consciousness, whatever it is that you call Source, God, Creator, Source Energy. Thank you for helping us to embody this beautiful divine love current and flow. Thank you for helping us to stay present in our bodies, present in our relationships, present in this world and this reality. And we ask for help and integration as we re-enter back into our daily life. So we start to wiggle our toes and our fingers, wiggle our sits bones, anchoring this energy deeper into our bodies. And setting the intention that when we come back into the room, into relationship with one another in this life, in this world, in this reality, we have the ability to access our authentic self, our divine love, our mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical capacities in balance with one another. And that energy comes through with ease and grace and playfulness. Respect for our fellow humans. That it funnels into our productivity for the day, that it funnels into our tone of voice that we take with our loved ones, that it funnels into our conscious creative language and words that we choose to express ourselves and how we communicate with one another. This is why we do the work. For our relatives, all my relations. This is why we do the work. And the work doesn't have to be hard. In fact, the more we are in divine flow, the easier it becomes, profoundly easier. And just remembering to bring that consciousness even into the places where we still have hurt, where we still have pain, where we may still have trauma. Because those places in our body and in our psyche, they need love too. They need space. They need permission to be here as part of our human experience. And it's important for us to allow space there without fear. Almost like we're gonna hold trauma, hold our traumas in this little bundle like we would a newborn baby. And we're gonna say like, it's okay. It's okay that you're here. We love you anyway. We can do this. We can handle the pain, whether it's physical pain in our bodies, whether it's emotional pain. We got this. We can handle it. And by not resisting it and bringing that love into it, it goes away a lot more quickly, really almost without effort. But the more we try to make it go away, the more it's going to stay, right? So we bundle it up and we hold it like a baby and we love on it and we nurture it and we say, okay, I'm just going to hold you. I'm just going to create space for you until you're ready to let go. Right? So we each have a part of us in our psyche where we can compartmentalize and we can hold the safe space, kind of like a little, I'm just imagining like little baby Jesus in the manger, right? Or a little baby swaddled in a blanket, or it's like, that's your trauma. Don't try to get rid of it. It'll leave when it's ready to leave, you know? Our job is to not be afraid of it, to bring love into it, to nurture it, to hold space for it until it's ready to let go. And we can still do life. And we can still love each other. And we can still talk to each other. And we can still go to work every day and do the thing that we came here to do. And be of service. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have all of our trauma healed. We can still be very effective in this world. And we can coexist. just know that when you let go of resistance to the pain, to the hurt, to the suffering, and you consciously decide to create space for it to exist, and you invite love into it, into that space, miracles can happen. And I leave you with this, to breathe deeply into the earth, to ground deeply into the earth, and to settle back into your body deeply, and to trust yourself enough to let your spirit fully embody this beautiful vessel that you've been gifted by our Creator, our Source. Let your spirit come all the way in to this body, to this world, to this life, and make a commitment to bring joy into everything that you do, and see how beautiful life can become. And so when you're ready, you can start to wiggle your toes and your fingers and bring your awareness back into this room, back into this space. And when you open your eyes, know that that is your spirit looking through your eyeballs into this world, into this space. Like you're seeing life for the first time. New, beautiful, present, creative, joyful. And imagine yourself filled with wonderment of what you get to do with the rest of your day, the rest of your week, the rest of your life. Life's an adventure. Let's embrace it. Thank you so much for joining me in this journey. I look forward to seeing you next time.